The 34th Ordinary Arab Summit has kicked off in Baghdad, attended by Arab leaders, secretaries general from the United Nations Arab League, Organization of Islamic Cooperation, Gulf Cooperation Council, along with numerous international guests. During the first session, Bahrain's delegation, representing the previous summit, handed over the presidency to Iraq. This was followed by remarks from the Arab League Secretary General Ahmed Abul Ghait and other leaders. A second main session focuses on development, concluding with the release of the Baghdad Declaration and a joint press conference. Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has highlighted that the Baghdad Summit is taking place at a historical moment, with the region facing complex challenges and unprecedented circumstances. In his address at the Arab Summit, President al-Sisi lamented that the Israeli war has devastated Gaza, displacing nearly 2 million people. He condemned the oppressive policies of the Israeli occupation forces in the West Bank and praised the resilience of the Palestinians. He also acknowledged U.S. President Donald Trump's efforts for ceasefire in Gaza, stated that the Israel aims to destroy Gaza to force displacements, and announced plans for an international conference for early recovery and reconstruction. He also noted that the critical situation in Sudan and emphasized the need to maintain Syria's unity. Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has lauded Iraq's efforts in hosting the summit. In discussions with Iraqi Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani, they emphasized the urgent need for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza and the facilitation of humanitarian aid. They also stressed the importance of preventing regional conflict escalation and reaffirmed their commitment to restoring stability in Arab nations, respecting their sovereignty and protecting their borders. Bahrain's Foreign Minister Abdul Latif al-Zayani expressed firm support for the early recovery plan to rebuild Gaza. In his remarks at the 34th Arab League Summit, al-Zayani called for an immediate ceasefire and an unhindered delivery of humanitarian aid to the Gaza Strip. He also strongly condemned any forced displacement of Palestinians from their land, emphasizing the need to uphold their rights amid the ongoing crisis. Iraqi President Abdul Latif Rashid has stated that the region is facing complex security conditions and economic challenges. With the Baghdad Summit taking place under special circumstances that threatened regional security, he condemned the systematic genocide against Palestinians, rejecting attempts at displacement under any circumstances. He also emphasized the importance of respecting people's choices in building their nations and highlighted that Israel is violating laws and human rights in Palestine. He asserted that political solutions and national dialogue are the only path to resolving conflicts. Iraqi Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani emphasized his country's foreign policy that is a priority partnership during the 34th Arab League Summit. In his speech, al-Sudani outlined Iraq's vision for resolving regional crises, centering on the Palestinian people's right to live freely with dignity on their land. He condemned the ongoing aggression that fuels conflict and violence, describing the genocide in Gaza as unprecedented and the brutally throughout history. In his address, Arab League Secretary General Ahmed Abul Ghait has stated that the Arab region remains a target for external ambitions and is still vulnerable to harmful intervention in its affairs. Abul Ghait highlighted that the war in Sudan has led to the worst humanitarian crisis on earth and warned that some Arab nations face existential threats and internal conflicts. He expressed confidence in Sudan's ability to recover and emphasized the need for comprehensive reconciliation in Libya. Abu Ghait also condemned Israeli policies that escalate tensions and called for accountability regarding the genocide against the Palestinians. In his address at the 34th Arab Summit, the Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez has emphasized that his presence marks a significant milestone in Spain's relations with the Arab League. Sanchez highlighted that the Palestinians are suffering and the situation in Gaza and the West Bank cannot be ignored. He described the events in Gaza as a violation of international law and announced that Spain and Palestine are working on an UN resolution calling for an end to the blockade and the introduction of aid as soon as possible. He also demanded an immediate cessation of Israeli aggression, urged for increased pressure on Israel to stop the massacres, and expressed support for a peace conference aimed at implementing a two-state solution. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has emphasized that collective punishment against the Palestinians is unjustifiable. Guterres called for a permanent ceasefire in Gaza, condemned the ongoing displacement of Gaza's residents, and insisted on the unconditional release of detainees and the introduction of aid. He also reaffirmed that the two-state solution is essential for lasting peace and opposed any escalation of Israeli military actions in Gaza. He highlighted the need for comprehensive political processes in Syria and support for Somalia's security. The chairperson of the African Union Commission has stated that they are closely monitoring the Arab summits and acknowledged that shared interest between Arab nations and Africa. He called for an Arab-African summit and condemned the genocide against the Palestinians, demanding an immediate halt to Israeli aggression in Gaza. He also praised the initiatives taken by Arab countries to resolve conflicts in Africa and also highlighted the significance of challenges posed by crises in Somalia, Sudan, and Libya. In his speech at the Arab Summit, the Secretary General of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation has stated that the Palestinian cause is central for their mission. He emphasized that it is a top priority for their organization, working to enhance cooperation regarding Palestine. He expressed hope for the establishment of an independent Palestinian state and noted that the current challenges necessitate strengthening partnerships. In his speech, the Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas has stated that the Palestinian cause is currently facing existential challenges. Abbas condemned the genocide, destruction and starvation taking place in Gaza and called for a permanent ceasefire. He urged an Arab plan to end the war and achieve peace and insisted that Hamas and all factions must surrender their weapons to the Palestinian Authority. He also proposed holding an international conference in Cairo to fund Gaza's reconstruction and emphasized the need for a political process with a defined timeline for a two-state solution. He reaffirmed readiness for presidential elections and ongoing state institution reforms. Yemeni's Presidential Leadership Council Chairman Rashid Mohammed al-Alaimi has described the conflict with the Houthi militia as a battle of existence for the Yemeni people. He urged the international community to adopt firm decisions to deter the group's escalating threats. In his remarks, al-Alaimi also reiterated Yemen's absolute rejection of any attempt to forcibly displace the Palestinian people. He expressed strong support for Egypt's initiative to rebuild the Gaza Strip following months of Israeli aggression. Somali President Hassan Sheikh Mahmoud has called for the Palestinian cause a real test of Arab unity. Speaking at the Arab Summit in Baghdad, Mahmoud reaffirmed Somalia's full solidarity with the Palestinian people, stressing that their cause remains the central issue for the Arab world. Jordanian Prime Minister Jafar Hassan stressed that the security of the Arab region hinges on resolving the Palestinian issue based on the two-state solution. Speaking on behalf of King Abdullah II at the Baghdad Summit, Hassan said that the tragedy in Gaza has dragged on for over a year and a half, warning that the consequences of the war will persist for years due to the international community's failure to end this. Lebanese Prime Minister Nawaf Salam used his address at the Baghdad Summit to draw attention to the daily Israeli violations of Lebanon's sovereignty, while signaling a new era in which the Lebanese state alone will hold the authority to decide war and peace. In a speech anchored in the state sovereignty and regional partnership, Salam said Lebanon has embarked on a clear and firm national path rooted in reform, law, and exclusive control of arms by the state. He also emphasized that Lebanon is working to fully implement UN Security Council Resolution 1701 and remains committed to the international legitimacy and the cessation of hostilities. Calling on the Arab nations to amplify pressure on the international community, Salam urged a unified push to force Israel into ending its aggressions and withdrawing fully from occupied Lebanese territories. He also reiterated Lebanon's firm stance against any resettlement or displacement of Palestinians, stressing commitment to the right of return under international law and the Arab Peace Initiative. In his remarks, Vice President of the Sudanese Transitional Sovereignty Council, Melik Agar, has reaffirmed his country's commitment to the principles of Arab cooperation. He condemned the Rapid Support Forces militias targeting the Sudanese people and urged for a ceasefire. He also demanded the lifting of the siege of the city of El Fashar in Sudan's Darfur province and called for the withdrawal of the Rapid Support Forces from all regions of Sudan. Additionally, he reiterated Sudan's steadfast support for the Palestinian cause and firmly rejected any attempts to displace the Palestinians. Syrian Foreign Minister Asad al-Shabani affirmed that Damascus remains an integral part of the Arab nation. He announced that significant progress has started towards Syria's recovery, urging for a comprehensive calm across the country. Al-Shabani also called on regional partners to support the efforts of the newly formed Syrian government. The Saudi Minister of State for Foreign Affairs has reaffirmed his kingdom's rejection of Israeli attacks on Syria and stated that the decision to lift sanctions on Syria presents an opportunity for recovery. He expressed support for the sovereignty of Sudan and the unity of its institutions. Additionally, he emphasized the need to ensure the security of international navigation and voiced support to efforts to centralize weapons within the state in Lebanon, reinforcing Saudi Arabia's commitment to Lebanon's security and stability. He also rejected attempts to displace the Palestinians from their land. He added that this stance is crucial in supporting their rights and ensuring their presence in their homeland. Leaders and top officials paused for a photo ahead of the Arab League summit held Saturday in the Iraqi capital Baghdad. Among those present were Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas, Qatar's Emir Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani and host nation leaders President Abdul Latif Rashid and Prime Minister Mohammed Shaya Al Sudani. The summit aims to strengthen regional cooperation and tackle urgent challenges facing the Arab world.